It was a wonderful Wednesday of wins, not only for Main Street, but for Wall Street. We're not here to cover the economic news, but we are here to tell you, for some reason, it gave the legacy media a serious case of the blues. Anchors could hardly hold their contempt. Today, we've got the clips, plus crazy headlines that show you it was always about propaganda and never about telling the truth. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Pro Channel, where we continue to dive into what's going on with the quickly dying dinosaur going extinct legacy media. The new media is here to stay, and it's because we bring you the truth your way. Folks, all we ask in return is a click of the like button, and we'll get underway with a panel of true excellence. It's a big one for a big, big story. Why, by golly, it's the stock market. It's the S&P 500, and it had a golly gee great kind of day. How good do you say? Well, on the 1 day, now you can see on the 5 day, it's down by 0.65, but if we take a look at the 1 day, it went up by 9.52% on a Wednesday. It was a Wednesday of winning, and no, we're not tired of it. How good was the day? Well, it's so good that it's the third best day for the S&P 500 since 1960. Since 1960, This was the third best day. So one might say then, how did the legacy media, the dinosaurs, react to such an awesome day, the third best day since 1960? How did they react? Well, let's go to CBS, and they're big fans of Orange Man. Let's see how they reacted, folks. This is CBS News 24/7. Here's what they had to say.
Jamie went about this, and she said, well, bear seems aggressive. And I'm like, think of it as a Pooh Bear. Think of it as a, or just, we're not feeling great about things. So look, it means 20% from recent highs. In this case, it was a record high going back to December 20th. It hit 20,173. That's what it closed at. Right now, we are at 16,924. So we're not in bear market territory anymore. That would have been just above 1,600. But we're certainly not on the record highs. And I actually looked at what the NASDAQ was right before we got that reciprocal tariff announcement last week. It was at 17,601. So we are not back there yet. We have not regained everything we lost in that.
There you go. It's the third best, again, it's the third best day since 1960. Folks, in the last 60 plus years, the last 65 years, only 2 days have been better. And she comes out, she's like, well, we're not back to where we were. And it's like, just report on it. You know what's worse though? The New York Times. Here's the New York, and look at this. Everybody take a look. Pros not subscribed to the New York Times. Only $1 per week. No, I'm not going to subscribe to you, gray lady, because look at your crazy titles. Wall Street bursts with anger over tariff stupidity. This literally came out on a Wednesday of winning. It says billionaire investors are in an unfamiliar position, watching and cringing as tariffs roll on and the stock market reels.
Yeah.
It came out as the stock market was jumping for joy. The legacy media doesn't know what to do. And why? Well, because the legacy media is filled with people who predicted things would go badly. From Clayton Travis talking about CNBC, Jim Cramer's stock prices would collapse. Instead, the NASDAQ was a small bit positive. And this was from the Monday prior to the Wednesday. Here's what Jim Cramer was saying. Here's what was supposed to happen, folks.
The president doesn't try to reach out and reward these countries and companies that play by the rules in the 1987 scenario, the one where we went down 3 days and then down 22% on Monday, has the most cogency. We will not have to wait out too long, will we? We'll know by Monday. Fortunately, we had an excellent set of numbers say, at least it makes it less likely a crash will necessarily lead to a recession. But if President Trump's
Now, notice he doesn't say that it might make it less likely there's a crash. He says that it's less likely the inevitable crash will lead to a recession. None of it happened, and the legacy media tried their best. I want to go back real quick. Then we'll go to the panel. Here we go, folks. This is CBS News some more. Just pay attention. Are they joyous? Are they exuberant? Reporting on the third best day the stock market has had since 1960?
Sell off. But basically, we are seeing a lot of excitement and relief and pouring back into the tech sector specifically, because those were some of the stocks that lost so much. And I want to just kind of, because I know I'm talking a lot of numbers here. I'm like, what does this mean for the average person? today you're likely going to see,
folks, as she continues, look in the bottom right. Everybody look at the Dow Jones.
Yeah.
Look at that graph. It's like a pancake with some red dots on it, and then it explodes in a straight vertical line up.
This proves an ancient adage of investment, which is as follows: buy on the dip, not on the dip caca heads.
Yes.
That's right. Yeah. Well, she's got a caca attitude. Here we go, folks. We'll finish it up. Here's what she has to say.
based on where we are, we still got 90 minutes left in trading, some good news for your 401k, because we're seeing a lot of tech stocks, the NASDAQ, the S&P 500 rebound. I know a lot of people that have been checking their 401k have been feeling a lot of anxiety. Today, it's probably going to be in the green.
Okay, in the green, but not in.
I had to finish there. I couldn't stop. I had to get to this point so that you all can hear. It's the third best day in 65 years. And she says, today, probably going to end in the green. Yes, I do believe.
That's because she's ending in the rough.
Yeah, I do believe.
Sand trap.
I do believe that ending with the third best day in the modern era would qualify as ending in the green, probably. Oh, geez, Louise. Okay. So, panel, listen. I'm not discounting that. I know the market has slid as there's been instability with the tariffs, and I'm not saying that everybody's out of the woods yet. But the market is largely higher now than it was 6 months ago, 7 months ago, what have you, August. I'm not here to give anybody financial advice. I'm here to talk about the response from the mainstream media, whether it was the New York Times with their crazy headlines, whether it was Jim Cramer over at CNBC, whether it was CBS. And listen, we could go forever on this. Like I've got a dozen clips I can play, but that would mean we don't listen to anybody and we just watch clips all day. We're not going to do that. Needless to say, the legacy media, they were very sour about this. And panel, why do you think the dour tone from our good friends in the dinosaur media?
Because they wanted panic. They wanted hysteria. They wanted the market to crash. They could take them big, bad, orange bad. But you know what? The media is very weird when it comes to this stuff, aren't they? They're a little bit strange when it comes to the market and what actually goes on during one administration and the other and so forth. But here's the thing, though. The same mainstream media who would, I don't know, they love to say, look, Minecraft, it broke every single record on a random Tuesday in the middle of April and, post-pandemic and all that. They put all these qualifiers on there in order to break a record, right? But you just listen to her. Oh, yeah, I didn't really break a record. What are you talking about? What do you mean? We didn't break any records. Nothing. You can see how they obfuscate. You can see how they manipulate and they enjoy the power that they have, which is perception is reality, not reality.
Amen to that.
Well, the problem with having a philosophy that says never let a crisis go to waste, if there's no crisis, you're screwed.
That's right. And if there's no crisis, you better get a reporter out there standing in a puddle somewhere and pretend it's a tsunami. Culture?
Yeah.
No, I mean, and that's exactly kind of where we are. I mean, look, if you just didn't panic, you were in good shape. But there's a lot of panicking going on. It looks like Vash is sitting in my mom's kitchen right now. Can't get over that. But anyway, I just want to say this. I just naturally follow the inverse Kramer, and I seem to be all right. So.
Well, the inverse legacy media.
Isn't the inverse Kramer a dive at the Olympics?
Yeah.
With a half gainer and a soup song of John Cena? I don't know. Anyway.
I don't know, but it's like that, except that, look, I'm not going to give financial advice, but that fella Kramer does. And the thing is there's a whole group of people that follow something called the inverse Kramer. You just do the opposite of what he does. You seem to be doing okay.
Well, here's a way to look at it, folks. And again, I'm not giving financial advice.
None.
At all. And I can't tell you what's going to happen.
No.
I mean, great. Listen, Trump is a guy who can do a lot of things, and I can't tell you what will happen with your economies. I can't tell you what will happen with your stocks, etc. All I can tell you is that the legacy media preached that we were going to be in the Great Depression again. And as of right now, what I'm looking at, 3 days after the prediction failed, 3 days after the prophets of doom now have to come up with a new prediction of how we're going to lose everything, the stock market currently is higher than it ever was prior to May of 2024. Like, it's higher than all the years the stock market existed prior to May 2024. We're higher than that. Every single one. And if you were having a good time in 2023 in the stock market, or 2021 in the stock market, or 1997 in the stock, whenever you were having a good time, you're way higher today. And that's just the truth. You can look at the chart.
When you mentioned the Depression, a thought came to mind. You know my strange mind and how it puts things together. I want you to imagine Gavin Newsom singing his version of the number one song of the Depression. Once I built a railroad, it don't run. Up the middle of the state.
I think it's just a fascinating thing that we just had occur right here, because it's interesting for all the doom and gloom that the media was trying to put out there, and there was a lot of it during this time. I think Trump's poll numbers actually went up, which tells you maybe who was supporting Trump and who maybe voted for him, right? Because maybe for a lot of people out there, yeah, your retirements were hit by the volatility in the market and so forth. If you had treasuries, you did okay, but for everybody else, maybe not so much. But for the people who haven't really invested in the stock market, who maybe don't have investment portfolios or retirements in the stock market, maybe the younger generation and so forth, they weren't affected by this at all. And maybe that's why we saw that inverse relationship between the stock market and his poll numbers, because the younger demographic understands why this is actually occurring, why this is actually happening, and how it can be beneficial to them, maybe not for older ones who do have a lot of investments in the stock market.
No, you hit 100% on the point. It's the generation that has nothing and has no hope, and they're seeing somebody that's giving them something and some hope. I mean, the greatest transfer of wealth, up until now had been the global crisis, right? This last few days was one of the greatest transfers of wealth. And if you were somebody who took the advice, possibly, of looking at the low points and putting your money in there, and, maybe looking at the high points and moving along from there, I mean, you kind of got a big boost, but at the same time, you readjusted a lot of what was happening in the economy. And yeah, there are some billionaires that didn't do very well the last few days. There are some billionaires who, while even chastising the panicans, they actually did pretty well. I mean, Bill Ackman was a little bit critical of the president, and he's doing quite well today, and was very thankful for this particular strategery, which was the whole point. It's something that we said from the very beginning. Tariffs are a tool to encourage negotiation. And how do you use that tool? Well, sometimes tools are a little brutal. I mean, you could give Wilton a hammer. That's going to be brutal, So it's just those are the moments we walked through just now. And I don't think we're done. And I think that the companies that were hardest hit, which the CBS lady at the end was talking about, the technology companies, I think that the conversation around the tech companies is because of where the tech is manufactured. And why do you think we've already jumped up in front of the chip production and everything else here in the States? It's going to take another 2-3 years to get up and running, but we're bringing that technology, we're bringing that production, we're bringing that process back to the States. We're securing mineral rights in other countries to make sure that our interests are served there, and you don't have to go to China. You have, Taiwan investing in the States. That's kind of going to be a good reciprocal relationship. And considering they want to go to zero tariffs, that's a pretty good deal. It changes a lot of the balance of inequities that we've had in trade for a while. And I have a feeling that with 75 countries on board, you don't think there's going to be another 50 or so that are going to get, in business like tomorrow.
They're not going to want to be left behind.
Exactly.
The media would love for that to not happen. Kevin, what do you think about the idea? How does it read to the average person when they watch these very rich news anchors come out and predict doom and gloom for a week, right? And leading up to, it was like Geraldo Rivera going to show us the mummy's cave. But like in the same situation, there was nothing there. The doom and gloom didn't happen. And now, Kevin, how do people look at these people when they're so sour? They look like they just had a warhead. It looks like they just had one of those very sour little jelly beans, and they just look all prunish as they report on the stock market's up today, but well, it might sour patch. Good job, Nolan. I think by the end of the day, we might be green.
Well, if you thought it got worse than opening Al Capone's vault and seeing nothing there, all you had to do was watch the last week. We are watching these children throw an epic temper tantrum, and thankfully the Donald was able to deliver some smack bottom to them. Because people are sick of it. At the end of the day, right? And I remember being a preteen watching Ross Perot ring this warning bell during debates, and essentially got laughed out of the building.
Yeah.
And what happened? The sucking sound came, and it pulled to the south and it pulled to the east. And listen, regular people, they're the ones who lost out. You could look at North Carolina. How many textile jobs just evaporated? How many furniture jobs just evaporated? So now we're supposed to be sad that someone said it's time to invest in Main Street and stop pumping money into Wall Street. That was supposed to be their goal. And it looks like they're just mad because the guy who walked away from them and does it better than everybody else is winning. I'm loving this.
Kevin, Main Street won, but Wall Street did too. Everybody gets cake today. Even Lorne gets cake today. Lorne, I could go to you, but we've got a Canadian wanting to hop in on a thought here. Our friend from the Great North, Steve, who is currently building a trebuchet to launch himself into the States. Steve, tell us your thought.
Okay. So there's been some of you guys don't know that are watching. Maybe, hopefully you do. Canada is in the middle of an election. Okay. Yep. So that means that Trump is essentially that lightning rod for whatever everyone is pitching right now.
Steve, you're telling me something. I have never heard Trump referred to in any kind of sensational way. What are you talking about?
Okay, so but you have to understand everyone's campaigns are how do we fight Trump? So Pierre is how do we fight Trump? Carney is how do we fight Trump? The NDP are how do we fight Trump and take everyone else's money?
Have you thought about inviting him to a curling match? Because he's probably never played it. I
don't know, but his dance, if you put a broomstick in his hand, he could probably do curling. Anyway, the interesting thing is because already the Canadian media has been extremely hostile to Trump.
Isn't the Canadian media, Steve, help me understand this. Because, so our media clearly wasn't a big fan of people winning. Okay. They were sour. Correct. Not everybody, but a lot of people. But our media, although it's kind of it's ancient now and it's been taken over by the new media, but it's supposedly private. Canadian media, not so much though. Is that right? Canadian media is more government controlled.
It is very not controlled, but definitely funded.
Don't you have fake news laws?
For sure.
And fake news is determined by the government. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. That exists. Where was I going? The big thing is they all, no matter what, they hate Trump. So everything that they push. So when the market rebounds, and because all of this stock stuff, it does impact Canada as well. And so on Monday, I was at a practice for Good Friday, and everyone's talking about how the stocks are tanking. And one of my people, she's a big financial advisor, and she's been like coaching clients all throughout the day. And she's got a level head, and she's like, just wait a minute, don't freak out, just relax, because you don't know what's going to happen.
Just keep swimming.
And so I saw someone say that, like, hey, stocks are on sale. Go and buy some. Yeah. And so I had made mention of this, but then again, everything switched today, and everyone in the Canadian media is just angry that it did rebound. Right? So they're like because you're watching that stuff, the clip of that lady, and she's like at least somewhat positive. I mean, she's kind of like begrudgingly positive, but no,
it might by the end of the day be green.
Yeah, like the Canadians are just angry. They're just like, oh, he broke it and then he fixes it, and that's why like again, like I'll say that Trump is the master troll. He's messing with everyone, and it's hilarious. But this has been such a the problem is it's so unifying in Canada, the hatred of Trump, that someone like me is easily hated. And so but like the hard thing is there's so much information that's being pushed in this just hyper toxic, we have to battle this out. And so any deals that Trump is trying to kind of make in Canada, what's happening is he's just causing them to dig their heels in even more, at least on the surface, because we all know politicians are politicians and they're going to do their thing. But it's just so hyper toxic up here, and just like absolutely hyper toxic. So you have to take whatever MSNBC does and ratchet it up. And it's just, that's what everyone's mindset is. And it's destructive and it's dangerous and it's quite scary. And so that is my pitch, that if there's someone in the audience that wants to give my family one of those Trump gold cards, please.
It's driven by the media. That's the point. Those out there, whether it's in Canada or the United States, and this is more prevalent in Canada because of the media power, but those who are more apt to be swayed by what's said on the TV and the radio, they are under the sway of the media, and it's having an effect because it drives people into crazy territory because reality never matches what the media tells them it's going to be. Nolan, am I onto anything there?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. They don't like what's going on, and they are going to find every excuse in the books. They'll pull out lore from like the 1970s and some obscure election just to make a point if they have to. Like, things are imploding, and I just gonna grab the popcorn and watch people get upset. It's entertaining.
Well, you know, we don't like to give it financial advice here, and we're not experts in all of that. But happily, there is an expert who has figured this whole thing out. You see that clip I put in the sideways there?
I thought you were going to say Jesus.
No, hardly. I'm talking about Joy Behar.
Oh,
Because would you put that clip up?
Let me see if I can. Hey, give me just a second. Tell us what you think, and then I'll see if I can get in.
Joy Behar explained all this, and she said that Trump is intentionally destroying the economy in order to make himself dictator through martial law. That explains it, right? That explains it. As always, the source of reason in a confused world comes from the View.
Well, I'll say this. So Lou, we've got that for a story upcoming, so we're going to hold that right now.
Okay.
I don't want to give
I didn't mean
away.
to jump the gun. Sorry.
Well, it's amazing, but you're exactly right. I mean, that's the kind of analysis you can expect out of the media. Is Joy Behar coming out and saying, well, Trump is intentionally, tanking the entire economy of the United States so that somehow, some way he can become the next Kim Jong-un. And it's like, you're a buffoon, Joy. Lauren, what? No, Kevin, I saw the finger. What do you want to say?
Well, what I love about that is these folks always tell on themselves. If they accuse you of doing something, it's because it's what they actually intend to do, right? So what is the media doing? It is screaming as loud as it can for as long as it can that the sky is falling, our pets' heads are falling off, and cats and dogs going to be living together.
Okay, you can't mix movies that good together. Don't you do that. Don't you put Ace Ventura and Ghostbusters together.
pretty bird.
They are screaming this because they intentionally want to sow discord and misery. It's the only weapon they have. They know that the average person, or rather I should say, they know that most average people don't have the time to dive in and do the research themselves. So they're just going to keep pumping their heads full of negativity. It's a toxic work culture move where the new boss comes in, wants to make some changes, and the lazy sods who don't want to actually do work start screaming at how terrible everything is, and they just whine and cry in hopes that they break everybody else down enough that you go, all right, this guy's got to go. or I'm just tired of hearing this guy's name, stop saying it. This is the only weapon they have, and it's not working because of new media.
But also because all they do is expose themselves to the what does God need with a starship question over and over and over again. I saw a great meme the other day, one of those pictures of a little kid kind of giving you a curious look. And it said, so tell me something. If you destroy a Tesla because you hate Elon, doesn't the insurance company buy another one for the person? Okay. So, I mean, if anybody ever stopped to think it through that far, they'd realize, and a lot of people are. And every time they pull this stuff, whether it's finances or politics or social things, a lot of people who weren't paying attention, I keep saying this, there's people who paid no attention to Rachel Zegler and no attention to Rivers of America and no attention. But once they hear a story and they say, wait just a damn minute, that's one more person who suddenly woke up to the woke, and they're not going back because they're basically saying, not in my name. I'm not voting for those crazies. Did you hear Senator John Kennedy from Louisiana today? He said, our plan regarding AOC is what we call let her speak.
Mm-hmm.
He also said she was the reason there's instructions on a bottle of shampoo. Yeah. Where he gets this stuff, I don't know. But the point is, you just let them talk, let them do their thing, let them go crazy. And now they're pulling all these clips of Schumer and Pelosi and all these people from 10 and 20 years ago, basically endorsing what Trump is doing now. But, well, that was then and this is now. And now, you know. And like I say, it's about everyday folks who put their kids through school and pay their bills and go to work and love each other and play in the local, the PTA and the Little League, who suddenly say, wait a minute, I didn't know that. Look at the first thing that got me, Pro, was when you had that theater owner, I think it was up in the Dakotas someplace, contact you and say, people are calling me to ask, is it safe about a Disney movie?
Yep.
That's just huge. That is so huge that realm of so-called safety isn't there anymore for a lot of people. And they're just suddenly saying, wait a minute, they're doing what?
And now people are wondering, is it safe to watch the news? Because the bubble has been popped, right? The cognitive dissonance is here.
Exactly.
By the way, folks, I'm embarrassed. I have joined the legacy media in getting something wrong. A YouTube video of excellence I have failed to achieve because I credited Kevin's quote to the wrong Jim Carrey movie. I said Ace Ventura. It's Pretty Bird is Dumb and Dumber. And I feel Dumb and Dumber. And now I'm going to feel even dumberer because I'm going to hand it to our resident genius, Lorne. Lorne, my question for you is, how does the media handle it going forward now that their doomsday didn't happen? Are we going to back it up again? Are we going to get a new one? Are they going to say the prophecies foretold it was the wrong day, though? We got that one wrong.
Well, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because I feel like we probably beat it to death. And I'm not a stock market guy, but I would say a few things. The first thing that I would say is that I think it's important to keep in mind, unless deals get concluded quickly, there is going to be some pain in the future. But at the same time, I think that's exactly what we voted for. I think there's a lot of people who are sick of those who are invested in Wall Street, who have done very well over the last decade or more, while Main Street has suffered. And I think that we've tried to get people's attention. We've tried to say, what about us? And we've been completely ignored and told that you're going to eat your vegetables and you're going to like it. Yep. Now we're exacting some pain and saying, okay, now you get to learn how to code if things don't go to your satisfaction. I think it's also important to keep in mind that the brass ring here that we're really reaching for is to break China's back. And that is also what we voted for.
Lauren, real quick, that's why the media hates it too, because they look up to China. They love the China system. They love the idea of telling people what to do and scoring them based on how they do it, and not because of logic, but because, by golly, we the ones in charge told you to. And that's why they adore the Chinese thing.
There's a historical parallel here. When Ronald Reagan came out with the Star Wars concept, and everybody laughed and said, that's ridiculous, that's impossible. But he went ahead and did it. and the Russians went broke trying and failing to match it or counter it. That's what brought the Soviet Union down. Well, this is kind of the same thing. Listen, this whole idea of pain. Let us say you are, I don't know, Apple or somebody who makes a widget with a chip in it. And that chip was coming from China at a real cheap price. And now it's going to come from a factory built by the people in Taiwan in Minnesota at a slightly higher price. Do you really think the difference between those two prices in that chip is anything close to the profit margin on a $1,200 iPhone? They can choose to price it however they want, and they can say, you know what, we'll make a little bit less per item, but we'll still be able to sell them, rather than saying, well, then we have to raise the price 400% and blame Trump because people won't buy it. So the pain is a choice that the manufacturer makes based on the sourcing of the materials. And the more the materials come here, and even if our labor costs are higher, so you make a little less per item because you have to pay those labor costs. That's a choice. It just is.
That's right. Now, Lauren, I and Lou interrupted your next point. Would you like to continue on?
Sorry about that.
I would, but I forgot what it was.
It's my fault. It's not Lou's fault. Lou just followed me. I was the betrayer of the beginning. Kevin, I know you wanted to get in one more thought right there. We'll have you wrap it up for us.
Sure. Well, and I wanted to kind of touch on what Lou said. When you're looking at what's happening in the corporate world, it's actually becoming more expensive to outsource now. So these companies need to be being prepared to have to come home to bring it in, because you're not making the massive profit margins you were getting out of sending it to China or out of sending it to India. They're actually coming closer to home. So I think everybody should have learned during the Great Crisis, when we didn't have our own medical supplies, there are dangers, major national security risks, and having to make and living in an environment where your biggest geopolitical foe makes all of your stuff.
Yep.
So it's time to wake up. It's time to put the big boy pants back on. It's time to make sure that average blue collar people can earn a sensible living, and that, we'd understand it's okay to pay a little bit more because you're paying for quality. I have a piece of furniture in my house that came from my grandmother when she was a little girl, versus some IKEA garbage that I have to throw out every 2 years. It's time to get back to normal. It's time to build things in this country. It's time to be okay with putting America first. It's okay. It's okay to be a proud American who wants Americans to do well. Don't be like the media. They are actually actively rooting against us. They revel in misery. Don't be like them. Be normal. Be happy. Live your life.
It's okay to have stuff that your kids look forward to inheriting, rather than wondering, what are we going to do with that junk? We'll have to throw it away when they die.
Well, for example, I'm sitting behind a mid-century desk that was in my grandfather's office. It is a glass-topped, very nice desk. It has locking drawers, all the fun stuff that you get in something like that. In my living room, I have mid-century furniture that is passed through generations of the family now. And I'm going to tell you, those things are incredibly valuable to me. I have a mahogany roll top desk that I have, sitting around. I've got a barrister's cabinet with the rolling wooden doors and the whole 9 yards. I treasure these things because they've gone, from a very long time ago when quality was appreciated to exactly what Kevin was saying, the IKEA generation. I don't want things that are made out of chipboard. I want high quality items that I can hand down. And I think that's kind of what everybody wants for each generation, to be better off and more equipped. The problem is that an entire generation and a half, 2 generations was mistreated, miseducated, and is now left in a hole that they can't get out of. And one of the bigger problems is this: of the people who are going to be the last generation to inherit a significant amount of wealth, if they don't have children, that money just disappears. It doesn't. The generational wealth is not in this country is not going to be the thing that it once was. The reason that you wanted your kids to be educated, you sent your kids to the best possible opportunities that you could afford generation after generation, was to build generational wealth so that everybody in the lineage would be better off for it. I don't see that kind of future, and I think Trump and others are interested in bringing it back. So whether or not you agree that the tariffs and the other things that are being done right now are done in an effort to kind of recover that and that future for the young people, the people that see it are the young people. And that's what's important. You're going to see in interesting midterms, I believe, and to get out of the political side of things, you're going to see a better situation for the people living in the United States and the people living around the world, because they'll be unleashed from the fetters. Which will
As we wrap up the topic,
nice.
folks, where are the kiddos? Where are the young people? The new media. They're not listening to the legacies anymore. It is such fun getting to spend time together, folks, but we have come to the end of yet another video. Well, that makes the mainstream scratch their heads, pull their hair out, and wonder, how is it we continue to do what we do? But you know what we do this for? It's for you. To keep bringing all the knowledge of entertainment, explaining what's going on in Hollyweird each and every day. And you can help us continue on that way by clicking the like button. Share, subscribe, click it, stick it to those algorithms. It's the notification bell. Share this out on your favorite social media platforms, and we would love to have you drop a comment right on down below. Share your thoughts because, well, your thoughts truly do matter, and we mean it. As we get ready to say goodbye, we end with the common refrain. Folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
Jump into the water!
Why listen to music made by people and companies who really don't like you? Check out Vacation Radio today and prepare for all new content made by the people behind the WDW Pro Channel. It's the place you need for all the music. That should be fun.
So I give them cannonball.
Hundreds of songs, every genre you can imagine. Listen live on YouTube and enjoy a set list that's always sunny. It's Vacation Radio. What are you waiting for? Every WDW Pro video has a link to Vacation Radio in the video description. Try it out and subscribe today.